This video has kindly been sponsored by Spitch. Spitch is a fantasy football app where you can test your management skills against others and win real prizes. Create a lineup within the budget every match day and score points powered by Opta Stats. During the creation of your lineup, make various tactical decisions like picking your captain and choosing your formation. Managers then with the most points enter the win zone and win real prizes. It's completely free to download and there's some free tournaments to enter as well, so give it a try using the link in the description box below. Get registered and start building your perfect 11 for the upcoming match day. Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. Before looking to Gameweek 34, let's see how the side performed in the previous game week. Last week, having been hit with a bit of an injury crisis during a blank game week, I ended up making 3 transfers, and my hand was a bit forced into taking the first -8 of the season. James Maddison and Fabian Schär came in as planned for a -4, with Tierney and Rafinha making way, and then I took an additional hit to bring in Joel Matip for Matt Doherty. Maddison was the underwhelming transfer here, managing just 3 points over his 2 games, but the plan was to bring him in for the long term now anyway, with Leicester still having 2 further upcoming double game weeks. I do have a small bit of regret with this move, however, only because Leicester's Conference League commitments will continue to affect Maddison's minutes. So, as much as I'd like to see the Foxes do well against Roma, from an FPL perspective and for the sake of my team, it'd be better if they got knocked out of that competition. The decision I have to make now is whether it is indeed worth keeping Maddison until the end of the season as planned, or instead moving him on to a Chelsea midfielder like Mount or Havertz for their double game week this week. As for the -8 I took, well, considering the 3 players I transferred out were all guaranteed to get 0 points last week, there was always a very good chance that these transfers would pay off. But despite that, I'd still consider these moves a fairly decent success, where between them they scored 18 points, therefore a 10-point gain on the -8 that I took. Last week, with my team in pretty terrible shape for Game Week 33, the captaincy was always going to be huge for me in retaining my rank. I mentioned that, with lots of managers potentially getting blindsided with double game week players, that could leave single game week players like Kane and Mo Salah as much bigger differentials than usual. And if I could just nail that decision, I could still come out of this game week on a green arrow, despite my depleted squad and the -8 hit. Looking back to the game week now, I definitely had reason in my thinking, with Mo Salah scoring a huge 19-pointer against United. So it was just so disappointing to have in fact captained Kane instead, who, after returning points in 7 consecutive game weeks, blanked at home to Brighton right in the moment when I really needed him to do the business. I had a bad feeling about that Brighton fixture, and as per usual, the early kickoff curse continues destroying dreams of FPL managers all over the world. Of course, Liverpool's superb performance against United still helped the game week immensely, but with me captaining Kane, ironically my lowest scoring player of the game week, after that it was always going to be a painful game week on a -8. So for Game Week 33, it was an incredibly disappointing and season-damaging 66 points on a -8, therefore 58 all out. Due to the injury crisis I was facing, I knew this game week was going to be a very difficult one. But ultimately, it was the Kane captaincy over Mo Salah that really cost me, such fine margins. It's a big drop in ranking from 24k to 35, and the target now of beating my personal best rank of 22,000 and looks to be a much more difficult task. I think the turning point of my season in recent weeks was opting to bring in Harry Kane up front, because not only has it now left my team incredibly unbalanced and inflexible, but I've also now captained him instead of Son and Salah over the past 2 game weeks, which has also ended up being very costly. Let's move on to Game Week 34 now, and look at some potential transfer routes I could take before the upcoming deadline. The team as it stands looks okay, and on one hand there is potential to simply roll the free transfer this week. What my team does have though is a glaring lack of Man City or Chelsea players, with Chelsea notably boasting a double game week this week, and Man City having a very appealing fixture at home to Watford. If I am to make transfers this week, whether it be one free transfer or another -8, then it's options from these 2 teams that are certainly on the menu. After a very long wait for Steven Gerrard's press conference, we've now finally had an update on the fitness of Luca Digne, and Gerrard has said there's an outside chance of Digne being fit for the final few games, so it's not sounding so promising. I was keen to hold on to Digne because Aston Villa have Norwich in Game Week 35, and then notably back-to-back double game weeks in 36 and 37. However, with only an outside chance of him being fit now, this may be the game week to transfer him out. With me having just 0.5 million available in the bank, that means without a hit, I only have 5.5 million to spend on a replacement for Digne, and therefore if I do want to target Chelsea's double game week this week, then Marcos Alonso is the only realistic defender that I can bring in for free. Antonio Rudiger could be missing for this double game week, and that does lessen the appeal of Chelsea's defenders, especially with Arsenal just putting 4 goals past them. But with Alonso's attacking potential, and considering I can make this move without a hit, it's still no doubt a very convenient transfer to make, to at least have some coverage of Chelsea's upcoming double. In order to opt for Reece James instead, who I probably prefer longer term, well, that'd take a -4 hit. And the way I can release funds into my team this week is by selling Aaron Ramsdale for a budget 3.9 million goalkeeper. Man City's Aymeric Laporte is another defender I'm interested in, but again, he'll also take a -4 to accommodate. As for my most preferred option of all, João Cancelo, well, sadly at 7.1, there's no way to accommodate him without selling either Son or Kane, which I haven't completely ruled out this week. The reason Cancelo has the most appeal this week is because, most notably, Cancelo is suspended for the first leg of City's Champions League semi-final against Real Madrid, and that for me makes him a lot more nailed to play the next few fixtures against Watford and Leeds. Watford at home this week also looks to be a very good chance of a clean sheet for City, and therefore a very good time to bring him in. To replace Luca Digne with João Cancelo this week, then either Son or Kane would have to make way on a -4. And naturally then, one of Chelsea's attackers could then come in, with the likes of Mount, Havertz or Werner all considerations. So there's still a lot to decide this week, and although Luca Digne to Marcos Alonso looks to be the most convenient free transfer, I haven't yet ruled out taking another -4 or -8 this week, in order to accommodate the likes of Havertz, Mount or João Cancelo. If I do replace Luca Digne this week, then his replacement would then come in for either Connor Cody or Fabian Schär in my 11. And because I've already got Jose Sarr in goal for Wolves, in that case I'd probably spread my bets here and play Schär over Cody to have one from each team. Statistically, Schär has also been offering a bit more goal threat when compared to the Wolves man this season. With currently just 0.5 million in the bank, sadly that's not enough to upgrade either Saka or Maddison to a Chelsea midfielder for free. Due to Maddison's commitments in the Europa Conference League, he's probably the midfielder I'd feel most comfortable selling for Mount or Havertz this week. I'm just not sure it's worth the -4, especially considering Maddison could still prove to be a good option for the longer term. So as much as I'd like to own Mount or Havertz this week, there's every chance I'll be going into Gameweek 34 without either of them, and that does have me a bit concerned. The decision to accommodate one of them is probably something I'll agonise over up until the Gameweek deadline now, and all I can hope is that if I do stay patient, they don't go too big in Gameweek 34. For the captaincy this week, with it looking so difficult to accommodate either Havertz or Mount, my captaincy armband will be focused on the Liverpool fixture at home to Everton instead. And in fairness, even if I do bring in one of the Chelsea midfielders, I think I'll keep the armband with the Egyptian king anyway. I'm hoping here that after Mo Salah's confident display against United, and finally ending his open play goal drought, this can only help his confidence against Lampard's Everton, a game in which during Salah's post-game interview a few days ago, he seems very much up for. As a differential captain, Trent Alexander-Arnold is certainly in my consideration, as I do very much fancy a clean sheet here at home to Everton, but it's likely the armband will stay on Mo Salah for this one. So that's all my thoughts heading into Gameweek 34, but there's still plenty to decide before the Gameweek deadline, especially with Gameweek 33 having just ended on Thursday, and with us just today receiving the negative news regarding Luca Digne's fitness. As mentioned, Luca Digne to Marcos Alonso does look to be the most convenient transfer, and I can make that move for free. But I haven't ruled out a wide range of transfer routes this week, so I'll finalise all these calls on Saturday morning. As per usual, regardless of what route I do take, I'll post my final team and captaincy choice over on Twitter shortly before the Gameweek deadline. Good luck to you all for the upcoming game week, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all very soon.